Hi, welcome to PebblePad. Nice to see you again. Now, in this video, I'll take you through some of the different aspects of the PebblePad workbook and the task itself so you get a good idea about what we're looking for. So to start with, in this particular task, there's some information here about what you need to do. So I suggest you spend some time reading through all the things that you need. So I've highlighted here a couple of things. You need at least one action that shows how you're going to be engaging with industry. You need to have at least 6 different goals or priorities that you're going to be working on, and you build that down or break that down into the actions you're going to take to achieve those goals. Now, what's a priority? Well, I'll show you in a moment. You also need to include a bit of a statement about what your ultimate goal is. What is it you actually want to do? And you need to justify some of the decisions that you are planning to make. Now, we give you lots more information on how to do this. This is just a bit of information about the types of things you need to be looking for. Submission. You'll be submitting your work on the Submit My Plan tab, which I'm just going to move my mouse over there right now. So on that particular tab, you'll see a space to submit your work, and I'll show that to you in a moment. I would suggest that you submit in a PDF format. It's just the best way to make sure that all the work you've done looks the way that you want it to look. So PDF is always preferred. You can submit in Word if you like, but PDF is definitely preferred. Now, we also expect that it should be at least a minimum of 2 A4 pages. One or two other important things to mention. As you can see from moving my mouse here, the book has multiple different tabs with lots of resources to help you develop your career plan into a strong career plan that's really clear. Now, you do the work in those tabs and you submit your final document. We don't mark what's on these tabs. They just help you build it. We only mark the plan that you submit on Submit My Plan. I would suggest, though, an experience has shown that people who work through the activities on each of these tabs generally do better work and get a better mark. Now, there is a marking rubric down here which explains what you're going to be marked on. But before I have a look at that, I'd like to take you through some of the other tabs. So we'll come back to this. Let's go to Start Your Plan. On this particular tab, and every tab usually has a little intro so you know what's on there. This particular tab has information on, well, what is a career plan? How do I start it? There are some examples on there, and there's also some information about identifying goals and actions that you choose to do to reach your goals, and how you can evidence whether your goals are successful or not. So if we go a bit further down, there's some information for you to read. I don't want to go through all of this, but you need to start with an ultimate career goal. So what is it you really, really want to do? And it might be working for a particular firm. It might be doing a further study. There's lots of potential ranges and things that you might want to do. You need to think about what it is that you want to do and why you want to do it. So there are some very short examples here. Your actual examples will need to be longer. Your career goal needs to include a justification, and there's information here about, well, what is that? And again, there's 2 examples with some comments on how they could be improved. As I scroll down further, so your career goal and justification should be a total of between 200 to 400 words. You can include them as one statement, or you can separate them out if you like. But whatever the total is, it should be between 200 to 400 words. So let's have a look. Well, what does a career plan look like? Well, there's a couple of things that you need to do in the career plan so that it's clear, basically. And we've given you 2 examples here. There are 2 ways to structure a career plan. You can structure based on goal types, or you can structure with a time frame. And if you click on either of these examples, you'll find a career plan we did for Harry Potter. And his eventual career goals. Now, they give you an idea about what a career plan could look like. And of course, the example career plans we've given you to give you an idea. You, of course, are free to use colors and different fonts to match your own personal preferences. Now, to get you started, check out these examples and you can decide, well, which style works best for you. Now, once you know what your career goal is and why you want to do whatever you want to do, you might want to think about some goals and things which you would like to start working on to get you ready for whatever your goal is. So here are some suggestions that may be of help to you. You can choose to use one or more of these that are relevant to you. Now, once you've got a goal, or you need a series of goals, you will need to decide, well, if I know what my goal is, what am I going to do to get there? So you'll be deciding on a series of actions and things that you need to do to get there. Now, they need to be SMART goals. That is, they need to be specific and measurable, and they're achievable, relevant and timely. If I want to be king of the world, I can't just put a goal saying be king of the world. I need a bit more action detail in that. So if I want to be king of the world, what are the definite actions I need to do to get there? So there's information here on SMART goals if you're not familiar with them. As you go down, we've given you some suggestions for things that you can do. And on this particular tab, one of the things I'd like to highlight down here, there's some examples of what SMART goals might be and examples of goals without much detail. And when you think about goals, you need to tell us, well, how do you know if a goal is successful or not? So you need to decide, well, what is the evidence for success? How will you decide yourself if your goal was, change that, if your action was successful or not? So you need to think about that. So there's a couple of things that you could potentially use, and I suggest you also have a look at the example career plans for Harry Potter to have a think about what you might choose to evidence your success in these particular goals. Now, we get you to do this, your career goal, so you can think about it, but it's actually something you can come back to and refer to as you go through the years of the degree. Some of you will be graduating this year, some of you will graduate next year, but it's useful for you to think about how is your career plan helping you to achieve your goal, whatever it is. Your goals may be relevant to getting the job after graduation. It may be more further than that, so you need to think about that. There are some suggestions for things you can do here. You can work in this workbook if you wish, or you can also work in a Word document as you build your career plan. Let's have a look at the next tab, Opportunities. Now, on opportunities, there are some different ideas for things you might want to consider for identifying, well, how ready are you to join industry? Are you ready now? If not, what can you do to build your readiness to get there? So we've put a bit of information down here, for example, a CV resume. Many of you will have this already. It just may need to be updated for the different jobs you want to apply for. And there's a number of different things that you can think about. Do you already have that, or do you need to develop it further? I've scrolled down a bit further. There is quite a large table here. For example, if something you need, if you decide that you feel you need to do is developing your networking skills, well, why is it useful and where can you get help? There are additional modules with more information on all of these areas, and you can go through and decide which of these things is relevant to you. So there are some suggestions there. I'm just scrolling down further. There's lots of things that you could choose to do. Now, you may have other ideas as well, so don't feel that you've got to be limited to these. There are many others. Moving on to competencies and skills. Now, what's on this tab? There's a bit of information for engineering students about the engineering stage one competencies. If you're not an engineering student and you're an IT student, I'll put information here about the skills that are relevant to your degree also. So there's some suggestions here for thinking about, well, what skills and attributes might you need to work on? And there is a table here where you might want to think about what skills you have and what skills do you identify that you need, and potentially some action items that you might suggest, well, how do I build those skills that are relevant to your goals, whatever they may be. Now, one thing that is really important is this next one, graduate applications. Every year I get emails sometime after graduation saying, well, what do I do now? How do I find a job? From people who needed to have started hunting for the job a lot earlier than that. You may not be aware, but a lot of graduate intake rounds actually open around March, April of your 4th year. So we want to get you ready for this now, because too many times I'm getting emails from people at the end of their 4th year when their deadlines are closed. And I don't want that to happen. I want people to be able to reach their goals. So we're trying to get you more aware of this now. So this page has information on graduate deadlines and programs that you may be interested in, how to find them and things like that. So you can work through this section if it turns out to be one of the areas that you choose to focus on. I strongly suggest you start thinking about and researching when the graduate intakes open for your industry, if that's something you'd like to do. In general, many of them open early in your 4th year. If you are in the 3rd year of a 3-year degree now, well, now is a good time to start looking because they'll be opening very soon. So this page has information on it. One or two more things to go. Let's have a look at IAP preparation. For engineering students, you will be doing your work placement or industry affiliates program in your final year. This page has some information on how you might prepare for it, particularly if you're thinking about when do they offer this information. Maybe you're considering looking for your own project perhaps, but also to give you a bit of an idea about, well, what can you get out of an industry placement. Now, if you're an ICT student, it's often called work integrated learning and is usually available in your 3rd year as an option. If you're choosing to do an industry project, there's a lot of advantages to doing an industry placement. Again, this information can help you. So you can read through that particular tab yourself and find the information that's relevant to you. Last, submit your plan. Surprise, surprise, there's not much on here. Do something great. This is the chance where you can submit your plan. And again, just a reminder that we really suggest you submit in PDF format. It's just easiest for us to mark, and it means that what you submit looks the way you want. Word can sometimes get a bit screwed up and your plan may not look as good as you want it to look. So you'll be able to submit by opening this box. You can add it here. You don't need to write anything there. I've got a note here. After you attach your document, just click fully evidenced, just there. You don't need to write anything for this assignment. Just hit add asset, add your document, and then you'll be good to go. Just make sure you actually attach something. Occasionally people click but forget to attach anything. That's bad, all right? So remember to attach your career plan. I look forward to reading your career plan so we can see where you want to go and spend a bit of time thinking about how you can reach your goal. Last thing, let's go back now to have a look at the rubric where you're marked. So if I scroll down on this tab here, you're marked in about 5 different areas. So your career goal and justifying what you've chosen and why, and you've really put some thought into what you're going to do and the actions you've chosen. Here you need to have identified relevant career goals. You need at least 6 and you need to have a range of different goals. And bear in mind, at least one goal has to be relevant to engaging with your industry. The next item here is the action items you choose. So the action items you choose are clear, they've got detail, and you've got information about, well, how, who, what. There's enough detail there so we can see that you've really thought about it. not just action item, be king of the world without any detail. It's a little hard to give you marks for that. Time frame, so we need a bit of information about, when, how, things like that. When is it going to be done? And that's something you need to think about. And the last one, you need to give us an idea of what evidence are you going to use to judge whether your actions and goals are being successful. I suggest you go back and have a look at the example Harry Potter plans to get an idea, but that should help you get through it. So this is out of 10%. Just bear in mind up here, things like poor spelling, poor grammar, or messy work makes it hard to understand your work. And in general, it's very hard to meet clear if your work has lots of spelling errors or it's full of grammar errors. That would be bad. So please check your work. And I wish you good luck with this assignment. Thank you very much.